Georgia gets a major impact player at wide receiver, plus a whole lot of interesting things about how we might be airing it out more this year. Next, Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I am Clint. Welcome back to the show. We're glad you're here. Hey, first listeners of the day. Glad you're here. We do this show for you. Also, everydayers, those of us who are here every single day, we appreciate you all so much in the comments over on X. We love interacting with you guys. And as well as a loyal third segment listener. And today, be looking ahead because we got a sleeper pick for actually who might be one of the most impactful wide receivers. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time, get in the game, make every moment count over at Game Time. More on them in a second. We appreciate them. Today's episode is talking about this, the wide receivers at Georgia. Now, it's really interesting to me. I have to frame this a little bit for y'all. Wide receivers, offensive production, airing it out, pass-heavy offenses. This has been the source of consternation, source of problems for lots of Georgia fans for lots of years. And when Mike Bobo's not running the ball, how dare he? When he is running the ball, how dare he? No wide receiver wants to come play at Georgia. That's 5-star. Nobody wants to come. That's high-end quarterback. Well, I'm going to challenge you on that. Look, it's really easy to keep a narrative going when you think you have the right narrative. But when, again, facts are given to you, I'm not talking about facts that you can just kind of make up out of the air or perception, although you need to have eyes on the game and see how the flow of the game is going, because not every pass play is equal weight of other pass plays. That cannot be true. And yet they have importance for the entirety of the game. Yes, two things be true at the same time. But I'm going to walk you through an interesting little note I found. Parker Fleming, follow him over on X. Stats O War over on X. Parker, we appreciate you so much. We get a lot of stuff from him. As a matter of fact, it's just football, economics, data science, views, opinions, bad tweets are his own. He's fantastic. We love Parker. We use him quite a bit. Many of the people that we know follow him. You should do so as well. This is coming from him, so I'm giving him all credit, but it's interesting to me as we look at the stats I'm about to show you, I'm about to give you. If you're on the audio side, glad you're here. Subscribe over to the YouTube side. If you're YouTube side, go over to the audio side. Subscribe, download, listen. This is a very simple XY axis. Parker does this a lot with the stuff that he has. It's a simple XY axis, and it's simply percentage of passes. Like very simple stuff. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things, okay? It's explosive pass plays. So it's how often teams throw deep and how often they completed those throws. It's very simple, okay? Deep shot, percentage of passes over 20 yards downfield. So how many times, what percentage of offense did you throw the ball over 20% down or 20 yards downfield? And then how often you connected on those. So I'll give you some of the highest connection ones, okay? Ohio State had the highest percentage completion of passes 20 yards down the field. Over 50% of the passes when they went 50 yards or 20 yards down the field were completed, over 50%. That sounds great. That sounds high octane, high pass offense. Well, they threw those passes around 10% of the time. So 1 in 10 plays were over 20 yards, and of those, 50% were completed. Let me try to put 1 in 20 offensive plays were over 20 yards and hit. Okay. That's what it means. Just simply put, a next close team in that is Oregon. Oregon chucked the ball at about 13%, somewhere like that, at a 42, 43, 44% clip. Okay. That quadrant is far below. Georgia tried to throw over 20 yards, 17% of the time. So Ohio State's around 10%. Georgia's at around 17% of the time. That's 7% on over a season is a large amount of plays. So Georgia took shots downfield. Georgia took more shots downfield, 20 plus yards, than Tennessee, Nebraska, Illinois. These are some teams that made some noise. Notre Dame's right at Oregon level, about 14%. Washington, Arizona's about 16%. More than Syracuse tried to go downfield. They tried to pass the ball downfield more than Miami, more than South Carolina, more than the Mississippi State, more than USC, more than Pittsburgh, more than Florida State, more than Cal, more than Boise State. I mean, the number of teams that were attempted to go down the field less than Georgia is a big amount. Now, here are the teams that are on the other side, teams that tried more times, more percentage of the plays over 20 yards. Clemson is right about the same time. Florida, Clemson, LSU, and Auburn are all really close, somewhere between 16, 17%. Okay. Here are the teams that were above. Alabama threw it at a clip that was pretty dang high, all things considered. Georgia's at, like I said, 15 to 17%. Alabama's closer to 18%. Tulane threw the ball downfield more. Stanford threw the ball. Liberty threw the ball downfield more. Boston College, Washington State. Those are some of the teams. Now, here are the teams that had a higher percentage completion. Alabama, higher completions. USC, higher completion. Notre Dame, higher completion. Florida, way higher completion. Florida was near 40%. Clemson's at 35%. South Carolina near 40%. Miami at about 36, 37%. Those are the teams that hit on those plays. And if you look at this plotted out, Georgia's almost near the middle, almost average on shots downfield and completion downfield. Virginia Tech is smack dab in the middle. Some of the elite teams, the teams that throw a good amount, more, about right in the middle of college football, and hit them at a high percentage, call the plays and hit them. Florida, South Carolina, Miami, Clemson, Alabama, Baylor, Arkansas. That's the cluster of groups over there. Those are the teams that threw it less, that completed it more. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, TCU, Raging Cajuns. Teams that threw it more and didn't complete it: Liberty, Stanford, Maryland, Ohio, USF, UCF. They threw it more but didn't complete it as much. Georgia's about the middle. What this tells me, here's what it tells me. First and foremost, the teams that you think has a wide open offense that's just going for broke on it, Oregon, Ohio State, nope. They're calling less plays down the field than Georgia is. First and foremost, they just happen to hit on them. Why? Because I think if you look at those wide receivers, when they go up, they have catch radius and catchability that is fantastic. Ohio State, I know for certain does. Will Howard's not a good quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, yet to be seen. I don't know exactly, but he has a couple of studs up there at Oregon as well. Arizona, studs. Notre Dame, actually a couple of good wide receivers over there. What I'm here to tell you is the offenses you think are wide open and incredible, the ones that are in the playoff that are making its way, Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, were in the half that threw less down the field, just completed them more than Georgia. Now imagine if Georgia had caught the passes that we had. Oh, yes, the most historical drop rate in college football history. Like, full stop. Y'all want to blame Bobo. I have evidence right here that we are throwing the ball downfield at a better clip than a lot of playoff teams, and we're not completing them. You can put that on Carson Beck, which he rightly deserved. But could you please, for the love of all, put it also on the wide receivers who dropped? And if we hit those passes, we are up at a clip, even if it's half the passes that were dropped, just half. We're now really, really, really close to being above. We're above LSU, we're above USC, we're above Louisville. Better than an LSU offense. Guys, I'm trying to educate you. You can be mad at Bobo for some play calls, which we were last year. There were a couple opportunities. We could be mad at the offense, which we were. There were a couple opportunities we completely blew and looked idiotic. But do not tell me that we're not doing what you requested. We are doing it. We're just not hitting them. And some of that could have been because we weren't running the ball, so we had to try more. Alabama game, a large section of that. I'm just here to tell you, Parker Fleming, thank you for what you've done. You have proven a point. I'm going to come back and I'm going to let you know. We have a couple of dudes coming in that, this just in, they going to be something. Like, they're going to be something. First 5-star wide receiver since George Pickens we got coming in. I'll let you guys know more about that. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Game Time. Game Time, the place that you need to get Game Time right now. GameTime.co. Game Time app. Download it. Get in the game. It's pretty simple. Here's what's going on. Game Time is the place that you get in last minute tickets, last minute deals, NBA, NHL, MLB baseball coming up, the Grande Bowl that is coming up. Anything you want to, concerts and more. Game Time is the place to get in right now. And good news is, Locked On listeners, Locked On College promo code gets you $20 off your first order. Terms apply, but $20 off your first order. Game Time. Last minute deals, a slider option that you get to see all upfront pricing before you go anywhere else and see anything else. You don't have to go to checkout to figure out the exact price. It's all right there for you. It's very transparent, very easy. GameTime.co or download the Game Time app today. Put in promo code Locked On College, $20 off your first order. Game Time. Get in the game. That was my first introduction to let you know, hey, this offense was trying to do what you want. It was an air offense at UGA. We were doing it at a clip that is on par with other offenses that you all clamor for. And it was the right call in certain situations to try to get it done. We just happen to have receivers that drop balls constantly. It wasn't one or two. It was everybody, anytime, anywhere, couldn't hold on to the dang ball. Fumbles, possession, the grip strength. Y'all know if you've been around health professionals, they will say grip strength is a big indicator of health, of strength. Y'all want to talk about grip strength. They need to be walking around, okay, with like a stress ball in their hand 24/7. Just get them Popeye forearms going. I need you all to have possession, to have catch radius, to have the ability to put your hand up in the air and have it stick to it because it's so dang strong. That's what I need you all to do, okay? Wide receiver room, Jimmy C. Let's get it going. What do you think? Okay. All right. We have ourselves a dude coming in, an absolute dude. And it's the first 5-star. The new recruiting cycle just came out and just updated all of their performance evaluations, all of their grading systems. We're at about Senior Bowl here in a second with a couple of how grading systems suck so much. But Georgia has 4 of the top, I think it's 35 5-stars in the nation. One of the only teams to have that many rated that high, according to a couple outlets, according to composites. We have dudes coming in. Kirby Smart is getting 5 stars better than other schools are landing them. Full stop. In a time and a day of NIL, it is incredible to me that Kirby Smart is still doing work. Okay. Point 2. Talon Taylor is that guy. 6'1", 175 in high school, more than likely 6'1", 185 by the time he gets into Athens. Geneva, Illinois. He is an absolute stud. 5-star. George Pickens is the last one that we had. If you look at this kid's tape, he went up. Again, he was at the 4-star. He took a massive jump to get that 5th star, just like I talked about Juan the other day. Juan Gaston comes in. He gets that 5-star. He's a mountain of a man at tackle. Haven't had one of those in a hot minute with his skill set. Talon Taylor, we haven't had a hot minute with his skill set. George Pickens, taller, more explosive, more possession guy on the outside. Talon Taylor is a guy that is going to suit up and be in any position that you put him in. And this is why it's so important to me. And this is why Kirby Smart went to the portal. If you notice a trend here, Kirby loaded up on top tier talent in recruiting cycle. We're going to get to Landon rolled in here in a second because he's also a stud that we have coming in. He got his 4th star. He was a 3-star. We saw a bunch of hope from him, and all of a sudden he's up to that 4th star now in this recruiting cycle update. Talon Taylor goes ahead and gets that 5th star, first one that we've had since George Pickens. First offensive tackle, first wide receiver. You see a trend happening here. And Kirby goes out in the portal. We've already talked a lot about how the portal has been wide receiver, and 2 studs on 2 teams, USC and Texas A&M coming in. Now flip it. We have a whole new room. Dylan Bell's playing running back this year. I don't care what you tell me. Colby Young can come back, which news on him. It looks great, which fantastic. Looks like that court case. He pleaded no contest to it. The other party retracted their statement, amended their statement, and now he has some community service to do, but it's behind him. He's not going to have a conviction. He's probably likely coming back to the squad. Kirby Smart gave any indication that he will be. Talon Taylor is a guy, CJ as well in this recruiting cycle, but Talon Taylor is a guy that could get on the field almost as soon as he wants. It is not just the speed and the size, which he has. He has great twitch and great ability. The 6'1" frame at 185 is really good. Again, the days of Megatron, I think, are done at wide receiver. You can have a guy like that, but it's not required to be a separator. You just got to get routes, get open, and catch the dang ball, which Talon Taylor seems like he can do. Played on a very good team over in Geneva, Illinois, comes down to Georgia, joins a now super talented wide receiver room, just incredibly talented wide receiver room. And he's a guy that can play pretty quick, just real quick. I know Branch is a dude. Branch, he's an absolute stud. He can be gone in a hurry. He can be counted for 7 points very, very easily. Again, in the red zone, we have a couple other guys who likewise could get up and possess the ball. Talon Taylor doesn't have to require on both of those to be in the system. He's somebody that can play anywhere you put him. Inside, outside, slot, motion, doesn't matter. He has the best ability to see daylight early on, because a lot of these wide receivers that we saw last year from Georgia weren't it, y'all. Lennon Humphreys, I don't know if he's it. Hopefully, we saw some sparks. He tried to be the Colby Young type guy. It wasn't it. Maybe he can be there. I have my doubts. We got a whole new room and a whole new recruiting cycle, and Talon Taylor is the guy that, again, I know CJ's there, and I know a lot of y'all clamoring for CJ because of the speed. I'm going to talk about Landon here in a second because he got that bump up. He's now a 4-star as well. But for my money, Talon Taylor is a guy coming in who I think the strength aspect's the only thing that we don't know yet, because high school kids on the outside DBs aren't the same as everybody else. You don't hit a linebacker the same in Geneva, Illinois, as you are going to go and hit a linebacker down from Alabama. And you got to hold on to that for dear life. That 5th star that comes up, George Pickens, was a dude that you saw on the field and you saw practice tape. Remember that one-handed catch he did in practice tape before G-Day? And everybody blew up saying, this is a dude, let's get him on the field. And he was on the field. Kirby knows last year's team, Mike Bobo was calling shots. Carson Beck did fine getting the ball down the field. Again, fine. Not great, fine. We just couldn't catch the dang thing. The scheme was there. The ball was there. We couldn't complete the drill. Kirby said, screw it. I need guys that can finish. I need finishers. And we got finishers. There's a theme going on. He didn't go into the portal because we are lacking wide receivers in this class. He went to the portal because he said, I'm doubling down on this thing. I watched. I'm a football guy. I have eyes. And when we couldn't complete the drill, I'm not going to have that be an excuse any longer. 5-star since George Pickens. Hello. Let's get going. It's going to be a wild ride. I'm very excited to see this young man get into UGA. It's going to be something. I promise you, he's going to hit. Like, just mark my words, put it down. Talon Taylor is going to hit. He's going to be the leading receiver for Georgia at one point. Not this year, but at one point in his career, he will be that guy that will remind you, oh, dang, Kirby's still the guy. George Pickens, who? No, George Pickens didn't have the stats. I think Talon Taylor will have the stats. George Pickens had the eyeballs. Plays and the impact. That was what George Pickens had, and the ability to throw a Georgia Tech player through a brick wall. But I don't know if Talon's going to do that. I don't think so. He's a real deal. I'm excited for him. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to tell you one other wide receiver that should be of note to you, and do not sleep on this guy. But first, these. We're back. Loyal third segment listeners are here, and we're here for it, y'all. I'm glad you're here. This is Locked On Bulldogs. Please be with us every single day. Basketball talk is going to be coming, I promise you. During the third segment, we usually do that, so stick around for that, Gurf. I know you're here for that. I don't know how many are behind Gurf, but catch on up, brother. You're fine. We need Justin be tweeting over here, because, Justin, you need to react to my segment 1. you need to tell me how wrong I am and how wrong Parker Fleming is on his stats. If you guys don't know, go over to X, follow Justin B. Tweetin. He is a Georgia fan through and through, and he is calling for Mike Bobo to be fired every day in hilarious fashion. It's quite awesome. He's going scorched earth on it. Okay, let's talk about Landon, because my goodness, what Talon Taylor has in abject football IQ, in catch ability. Landon is not a scrub in that regard. I am not calling him anything but a very good wide receiver. But here's where he accelerates. And yes, I chose my words there. Accelerate with purpose. This man's fast. Like just this man is super quick. He can run very well. A little context for this: 60-yard dash, 6.65 in the 60. He did some baseball as well. He actually has, I think, perfect game somewhere in his record as an athlete, which is quite incredible. That just thing there. But he's 6 foot 180, so around the same as Talon. Around the same. I think he might be a little slighter. I think Talon actually has the ability, a bigger frame to put on some weight. I don't know if Landon has that ability, but Landon goes from a 3-star. When he signed with Georgia, he was a 3-star prospect, and now he's a 4-star. He got that bump as well. He's one of the top in Georgia commits that we have. I'm very happy with this, like real happy. And if you're telling me, of the wide receivers, the ones that I have most confidence in, I've already told you, Talon Taylor, I think is that guy. CJ Wiley, again, another 4-star kid. He's a little taller. He's not going to be as quick and as fast, but still there. But I think Landon has the ability. He was already that 3-star, gets that 4th star. Wasn't ranked nationally until now, and he's going to be starting to get a couple more guys over in on that. But he has higher rating. Tyler Williams, who is another speedster, South Florida, 6'1", 205. People are very excited about him coming in, which I'm not excited for him. I'm very excited for him. But this is a particular skill set. Now, again, the lazy take is going to be Ladd McConkey. Don't do that. Don't be lazy. Just because you see a guy in Georgia red and black and think that he looks like him, don't do it. Because, look, that man, Ladd McConkey, was just a pure baller in everything that I did. I think Landon is going to be the guy that we tried with Arian Smith to have him be. That's what I think he's more akin like. It's yet to be seen. He can develop into something else. The kid is pure athleticism, pure acceleration, pure speed. If we can harness that with catch radius ability down the field, it's going to be something that's quite incredible. And it's going to be something that you and I will hold our breath on. He goes from 0 to 60 very quickly. He is athletic in every regard, and he's got some toughness to him. That's going to be the developmental piece for him coming into the system and coming into Kirby Smart. Again, we've constantly talked about it. And those of us who said, well, I don't want my wide receivers, I don't care if they can block or not. I do. 14th in the SEC. That's going to be my stat that I just keep going back to over and over and over again. And you're going to get nauseated. 14th in the SEC in rushing attack. We're doomed with that. We took shots downfield. We couldn't complete them. We couldn't run the ball. What do y'all want Mike Bobo to do? Sorry, we're talking about Landon here. I think Landon getting that 4th star again. I love the guys that progress up. And Kirby Smart and company signed him as a 3-star because they knew what was going on. Who else was a 3-star? I think another parallel to Ladd McConkey, why people like that. He was another 3-star that turned into an uber talented kid. A lot of that was COVID. A lot of that was untested, unseen ability in the camps and the such and the travel. But I think for Landon, to me, if he's able to have a little toughness added to him, a little bit bulk on the frame, don't bulk up too much. I want that Arian Smith route running ability downfield. And Arian is shown out, by the way, in the Senior Bowl. He can run routes and catch, which, what happened, man? What do we do? Who talked to you so negatively that you were dropping balls like that? But the Senior Bowl, you can go ahead and catch whatever you want. That's wild to me. I think Landon is a kid that is speed, that is pure acceleration, pure nitrous. And in the system, there's a niche for that. It absolutely is a niche for that. And it's something that you have to have because we do throw the ball downfield more than 20 yards. Oh, everybody's clamoring for the screen game to go away. Nope, I want it to stay here. It's a extended pass play. We don't run off tackle because we have that play in our pocket. But Landon's a guy that can bust open. And in that, a couple of Georgia players we've seen have that ability before. We've seen their ability to not only get behind the defense, but when we have the ball, then to run through contact, not just catch it and come down, but aggressively catch the ball and keep running and keep performing and keep getting yards after the catch. He doesn't have that quite yet. I hope he develops it, because if he does, then that's a guy that is more in line. I'm not calling him the next Ryan Williams. But if you look at Ryan Williams, what he was able to do at Alabama, he was able to catch the ball on the outside, contest for that, take initial contact, stay on his feet. That's all we're looking for, because DBs are going to be falling down trying to get the ball. Stay on your feet through contact and see what happens after that, because I believe in this kid's ability to outrun anybody else once that happens. Not every pass is going to be caught in stride. Not every pass is going to be a dime thrown on there. We have a couple of guys, that Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Puglisi, that we still don't know to this day who's going to be the starting quarterback at UGA next year. Both these guys can put the ball on a dime. Both these guys are able to fit it in tight windows. Do we know it definitively yet? The beauty of the deep ball, a la Stetson Bennett, that had a beautiful touch on the deep ball. Just an amazing, amazing flight path of that football. Yet to be seen. No one knows. We can't know definitively and exactly. If that's the case, Landon is a dude that can get under a ball, use his body to shield, catch, go through initial contact, and that's when those big plays, not exactly, not calling for a clone, not saying he's even the same skill level. I'm not saying any of that. Like Ryan Williams. That's a piece of the offense that we haven't seen. Arian Smith was able to catch some balls downfield when he wasn't dropping them. And then that was it. If a defender was close to him, put a hand on him, he went down. It was like the anti-Monty Rice. Monty Rice put a hand on you, you went down. Arian Smith didn't have a hand on him, he still went down. This wide receiver room now, overhauled in totality, good niche players, but as well as good overall players. Both things are happening, and there's a huge, huge upside to this room all of a sudden. I think the production, I think our expectations should be sky high, ought be sky high. If they're not sky high, get them there. Just like with the basketball team, expect March Madness. And when it doesn't happen, come after me with a pitchfork, but it will be happening. This wide receiver room will be 1,000 times better next year. And if it's not, come after me. Actually, follow me, because I'll be with my bucket taking it over to Athens. Come after me, though, because this wide receiver room is stacked upon stack now. And it wasn't like last year where we thought we had depth. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we have depth at wide receiver. I'm saying we have 4 studs who could be problematic, not only this year, but for years to come. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Come back here every single day. We appreciate the first listeners, the everydayers, everybody like that. Come on back. For fans, by fans, Locked On Bulldogs.